because I have children and because I listen and
I went to public school. I believe you got to go to private school.
There is zero statistical
You got to go to private school.
Because there's no last thing right now. We're going to go to break, and then we're going to come back.
Yes.
Because you can't. What's happening is no one can hear anything anyone is saying.
Alyssa attacks Whoopi after muting a valid point she made on set. Please don't forget to subscribe and click the notifications bell icon for more newsletter updates. Thanks for watching. We hope to see you in our next Australian newsletters. As Sunny was trying to make a veiled point, Alyssa proceeded to intentionally interrupt Sunny and even got sassy with both Whoopi and Joy. As Sunny is reading the facts in the court paperwork, Whoopi was shouting like a Baptist church auntie. Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving into a tense moment that unfolded on The View, one of daytime television's most talked about talk shows. It's no secret that this show thrives on opinionated voices, emotional debates, and fiery exchanges, but every so often, something happens that truly rattles the usual dynamic. This time, the spotlight is on Alyssa Farah Griffin and Whoopi Goldberg, two co-hosts who are not new to exchanging disagreements, but rarely have we seen things escalate in quite this way.
Yeah, let's not forget that.
It all started during a particularly charged segment. The panel was discussing a topic that had already stirred strong feelings across the table, something involving political accountability and the role of the media in shaping public opinion. As usual, each host brought their perspective to the conversation, and the tone remained civil, at least at first. Alyssa, known for her background as a White House communications director turned moderate conservative commentator, was making a point that, while not universally popular, was undeniably valid. She was laying out her argument carefully, drawing from both personal experience and broader observations about political discourse in America. But just as she was hitting her stride, Whoopi interrupted. Not in a way that was playful or conversational, but in a way that felt abrupt, almost dismissive. The moment was jarring. Alyssa was mid-sentence, her point building toward what seemed to be a thoughtful conclusion, when Whoopi cut in and said something along the lines of, "Okay, we're moving on." And just like that, her microphone was cut. The screen cut over to Joy Behar, who quickly picked up the conversation and steered it in a different direction. Now, interruptions happen on live TV. It's part of the nature of panel shows, where time is limited and every voice is competing to be heard. But this moment stood out because of how pointed it felt. Alyssa wasn't talking over anyone, she wasn't shouting, and she wasn't dominating the conversation. She was, by most viewers' account, trying to add nuance to a complex issue. And having her mic cut, intentionally or not, sent a message, one that she clearly didn't take lightly. As the show went to commercial, audience members reported seeing Alyssa visibly upset. Her expression stiffened, and she leaned back in her chair, arms crossed, eyes fixed forward. When they returned from the break, the panel was all smiles, but the tension in the air hadn't gone unnoticed. And it didn't take long for the fallout to begin. Later that day, Alyssa took to social media not in a rage, but with a tone that was clearly disappointed. In a series of posts, she expressed frustration at not being allowed to finish her thought, explaining that part of what makes The View valuable is the diversity of voices and the ability to engage in honest, sometimes uncomfortable conversations. She didn't mention Whoopi by name, but the implication was clear. She felt silenced and she wanted people to know that she wasn't okay with it. The reaction online was swift and divided. Some viewers sided with Alyssa, arguing that her point was legitimate and that Whoopi's decision to cut her off was unfair. Others defended Whoopi, suggesting that as the moderator she has to make difficult calls about timing and flow.
Fundamental. Check on executive power. Hallelujah. On executive power. The recognition and implementation of election.
And that maybe Alyssa's point had already gone on too long. But for many, the core of the issue wasn't about content or airtime, it was about respect. Was Alyssa disrespected on live television? And if so, what does that say about the dynamics behind the scenes? Insiders familiar with the show later confirmed that Alyssa did indeed confront Whoopi after the taping. According to reports, the exchange was private but emotionally charged. Alyssa reportedly said that she felt her voice was being stifled, not just in that moment but more broadly on the show. She pointed out that she is often the only one representing a centrist or conservative view, and that when her arguments are prematurely shut down, it reinforces the idea that those perspectives aren't welcome. While Whoopi didn't respond publicly, sources say she defended her actions, insisting that the decision to move on was about pacing, not personal politics. Still, the damage had been done. The following day, the energy at the table was noticeably different. Alyssa was quieter than usual, more reserved, choosing her words carefully and waiting longer to jump into the discussion. Whoopi, on the other hand, seemed unfazed, continuing to moderate the conversation with her usual dry humor and commanding presence. But viewers could sense that something had shifted. The chemistry between the two had taken a hit, and even the rest of the panel appeared to tread a bit more lightly. This wasn't the first time The View has been rocked by internal conflict. The show has a long history of co-hosts clashing, sometimes to the point of forcing resignations or major shakeups. But what made this incident different was Alyssa's decision to push back not behind closed doors, but publicly. Her willingness to speak out, even in a measured way, signaled a new chapter in how the show's internal struggles play out in front of its audience. In later interviews, Alyssa elaborated on the experience. She stressed that her frustration wasn't about ego or airtime, but about the fundamental idea that every host deserves the chance to be heard. She acknowledged that moderating a show like The View is no easy task, and she expressed admiration for Whoopi's long-standing role on the panel. But she also made it clear that respect